You wake up exhausted. You do the work of 3 people. You play by the rules, avoid the office politics, and wait patiently for your reward. And yet, you watch the most incompetent, manipulative people pass you by, take the money, and take the power. You watch them talk louder than you work. You watch them fail upward. You watch them get protected. You watch your reliability become your cage. You aren't failing because you aren't working hard enough. You are failing because hard work is a psychological trap invented by the elite to keep the masses too tired to realize they are being played. You were handed a moral story, meritocracy, loyalty, grind, because moral stories make you compliant, and compliance makes you cheap. It is time to stop playing a rigged game. In this video, we uncover the dark Machiavellian laws of wealth and power. If you want to remain a pawn, click away now. But if you want to learn how the masters move the pieces, listen closely. That quote is not philosophy. It's a survival manual. Because you were trained to be only one thing, the lion who works, strong, reliable, visible, predictable. But the modern world doesn't trap lions with chains. It traps you with praise, guilt, and potential. It traps you with performance reviews that move the finish line. It traps you with "we're a family" language that lowers your pay. It traps you with fear that leaving makes you ungrateful. It traps you with corporate manipulation disguised as motivation. And here is the forbidden question you've been afraid to fully stare at. Because once you answer it, you can't go back to being obedient. What if the people telling you to put your head down and grind are the exact same people profiting off your exhaustion? You already know the answer because you've lived it. You've watched leaders preach hard work while they delegate everything difficult. You've watched bosses reward loyalty with more work, not more money. You've watched team players become permanent workhorses. You've watched promotion go to whoever controls perception, not whoever creates value. The system doesn't reward hard work. It rewards leverage. And if hard work made you rich, donkeys would be covered in gold. So today you're going to do something most people never do. You're going to stop worshipping labor. You're going to stop romanticizing burnout. You're going to stop letting authority figures define what success should look like. You're going to study wealth psychology, power dynamics, and dark psychology the way Machiavelli meant it, as a cold map of how people actually behave when money and status are at stake. This is not about scams. This is not about illegal shortcuts. This is not about harming anyone. This is about manipulation defense. So you stop donating your life force to a machine designed to extract it. By the end, you won't think like a loyal worker bee waiting to be recognized. You will think like a calculating ghost. You will look at jobs, money, titles, and networks as chess pieces. You will see corporate manipulation before it touches you. You will use Machiavellian strategy to become unexploitable and quietly dangerous to any system that tries to underpay you. And you'll finally understand why stop working doesn't mean become lazy. It means stop working without leverage. If these ideas resonate with you, hit that subscribe button for more top-tier content. Also, drop a "no more traps" in the comments so I know you're ready. Let's dive in. You were raised on a bedtime story. You were told, work hard, keep your head down, be humble, and the world will notice. That story was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you reliable. Because reliability is profitable for everyone except you. This is dark psychology wearing a motivational poster. It uses Cialdini's authority principle. The teacher, the parent, the manager, the culture itself tells you hard work equals worth, so you obey it like a moral law. You don't question it because questioning it feels like questioning goodness. And that's the trap. They fused your identity with your output. So when you're underpaid, you don't get angry at the system. You get ashamed of yourself. You think you must not be doing enough. You think you must not be grateful enough. You think you must not be patient enough. You think you must earn what should have been negotiated. And while you're trapped in self-blame, someone else is learning power dynamics. Someone else is learning how budgets work. Someone else is learning who actually makes decisions. Someone else is learning how to be seen. Someone else is learning corporate manipulation. You were taught that office politics is beneath you. You were taught that self-promotion is arrogant. You were taught that negotiation is conflict. You were taught that asking for more is greedy. So you kept your head down, and the people above you smiled because you just signaled the most important thing in any system of control. You can be extracted from. Every time you show unquestioning loyalty to a company, you signal that you can be underpaid. Now notice the cruelty of how this works. You do more, so they expect more. You stay late, so late becomes normal. You fix problems, so you inherit problems. You cover gaps, so the gaps become your job. And your reward is not money, your reward is dependency. They make themselves dependent on you. Then they use that dependency to trap you. They say, we can't lose you. They say, you're essential. They say, we need you. And you hear it as praise. But it's a cage with velvet padding. Your boss is not your friend. They are a resource extraction algorithm. You don't need hatred to see that. You need clarity. Your boss has incentives. The company has incentives. The system has incentives. And those incentives are not make you wealthy. Those incentives are increase output while controlling cost. That's why meritocracy is such a seductive lie. It makes you think the system is fair, so you keep trying harder inside a rigged game. And the moment you start seeing it, something in you gets hot. Good. That's recognition turning into anger, the correct fuel. But understanding why the system is rigged is only the first step. To beat it, you must use law 2. Because if you keep thinking like labor, you will keep living like labor. Here is law 2, and you need to let it offend the old version of you. The system doesn't reward hard work. It rewards leverage. Leverage means your work is hard to replace, easy to verify, and linked to outcomes someone powerful already cares about. Labor means your effort is high, your visibility is low, and your replacement is easy. And you've been trained to worship labor. You've been trained to confuse busy with valuable. You've been trained to confuse tired with successful. You've been trained to confuse loyal with respected. But wealth psychology is different. Wealth psychology is not about how hard you push. It's about where you place force so the world moves. So you stop asking, how can I work harder? You start asking, where is my leverage point? And this is where Machiavelli becomes painfully modern. Machiavelli understood that you don't win by being good. You win by being necessary in the right way and replaceable in the right way. Let me explain the paradox that frees you. If you are irreplaceable, you are unpromotable. You think being irreplaceable protects you. It doesn't. It chains you to the exact role where they get maximum output for minimum cost. You become the person they can't afford to move upward because moving you upward creates a hole where you used to be. So you stay, you grind, you wait, you build someone else's empire with your best years, and then you wonder why you're stuck. Machiavelli knew this 500 years ago, even without corporate org charts. Power keeps the most useful tool exactly where it is. So law 2 is not be indispensable. Law 2 is be promotable. And being promotable means your value must be visible, transferable, and scalable. You build systems, not heroics. You create documentation, not miracles. You build dashboards, not late nights. You produce outcomes that can be presented, not suffering that can be ignored. And yes, this is Machiavellian strategy. Not the cartoon villain version, the adult version, the version that stops you from being exploited. Now here's the part that will punch you in the gut. They are not paying you for effort. They are paying you for the smallest amount of money they can get away with. That's not personal. That's the system. Corporate manipulation trains you to feel grateful for the paycheck, so you forget to measure your true value. And if you've ever felt guilty for taking a sick day, you are under the spell of the exact psychological operation I'm exposing. They turned your body into a machine that apologizes for needing maintenance. They turned your humanity into an inconvenience you feel ashamed of. That's dark psychology at scale. So you interrupt it. You stop volunteering extra output without extra leverage. You stop over-delivering to people who under-reward. You stop being proud of being the one who always handles it, because that pride is the hook. Now the next retention hook, because you're about to learn the first real fox move. Machiavelli utilized a specific tactic to appear 10 times more valuable than he actually was. It's not lying. It's framing. It's the formula that makes the power dynamic shift from them owning you to you owning your position. Here is Law 3, and it's the one intellectuals hate. Because you want the world to be rational, perception is currency. You don't get paid for what you do. You get paid for what decision-makers believe you do and how replaceable they believe you are. That is wealth psychology in one sentence. So you stop being offended by reality and you start using it. This is where your "I hate politics" identity has been sabotaging you. You think avoiding politics makes you pure. It makes you invisible. And invisible people get exploited. In corporate manipulation, the loudest narrative wins unless you quietly anchor the truth. So you build a value receipt system, not to brag, to survive. You send concise updates that tie your work to outcomes. You quantify impact. You document decisions. You create artifacts, reports, templates, processes, metrics. You make your contributions undeniable without being emotional. You become a ghost with a paper trail. Because once you have a paper trail, gaslighting becomes harder. Once you have a trail, credit theft becomes riskier. Once you have a trail, your boss has to work harder to pretend you're just a helper. And yes, you will feel resistance. You will feel the old program say, "This is arrogant." That's the program they installed, so you would never self-advocate. Warning, do not attempt the next strategy until you have completely killed your need to be liked by your co-workers. Because the moment you step into visibility, certain people will react. They will call you political. They will call you strategic, like it's an insult. They will call you selfish for not being endlessly available. That reaction is proof you're moving. Your desire to be liked has been used as a leash, so you cut it. You stop trying to be the favorite. You start trying to be the option. And now, the 10 times more valuable tactic. You stop doing everything. You start doing the things that create dependency at the top. You choose projects that touch revenue, risk, or reputation. Because executives don't promote the hardest worker. They promote the person who reduces danger or increases upside in a way they can explain. So you align your labor with what power cares about. That's Machiavellian strategy inside a company. You don't fight the system directly. You reposition yourself inside it. And here's the pattern interrupt you need to tattoo on your mind. The elite do not trade time for money. They trade perception for power. That doesn't mean they never work. It means they never let work be the only thing they offer. They offer narrative. They offer visibility. They offer relationships. They offer strategic scarcity. Now we go deeper, because once you understand perception, you must understand traps. Machiavelli warned you, the lion can't see traps, and corporate manipulation is a trap factory. So here comes Law 4. Become a fox. Law 4 is where you stop being confused and start being dangerous. You become a fox to recognize traps, and once you recognize traps, you stop falling into them with a smile. Let's name the most common traps that keep you poor while you work 50 hours a week. Trap 1. We're a family. If you're family, you shouldn't negotiate. If you're family, you should sacrifice. If you're family, you should accept not in the budget. That's not closeness. That's corporate manipulation. Trap 2. We just need you to push a little more this quarter. There is always a quarter. There is always a deadline. There is always an emergency. And if you solve every emergency, they stop building systems because you are the system. Trap 3. You're so reliable. Reliability is praised when they want you to stay put. Reliability is ignored when you want to rise. Trap 4. You have so much potential. Potential is what they tell you when they don't plan to pay you for results. They pay for results. They complement potential. Trap 5. Pay your dues. This one is poison because it sounds noble. But in power dynamics, pay your dues often means wait until you're too tired to leave. Trap 6. Be grateful. Gratitude is good, but forced gratitude is a control tool. It's the suggestion that you're lucky to be extracted from. And if you push back, they paint you as entitled. That's dark psychology. They moralize exploitation, so you feel guilty resisting it. Now here's the retention hook you need, because you're about to feel something shift. This is the exact moment the power dynamic shifts from them owning you to you owning your next move. Because once you see traps, you stop providing free labor out of pride. You begin to detach, and detachment is terrifying at first. Most people panic when they reach this stage of detachment. Here is why you must stay perfectly calm. Panic makes you impulsive, and impulsive people are easy to trap again with a counteroffer, a compliment, or a guilt trip. So you stay calm. You become quiet. You become calculating. You start asking questions that reveal the truth without exposing your emotions. What is the budget range for this role? What would success look like in metrics? What is the promotion timeline and criteria in writing? Which projects are most visible to leadership? What resources will be added if scope expands? You stop accepting vagueness. Vagueness is where they hide the extraction. Clarity is where you regain power. And now you don't just become a fox, you also become a lion, because Machiavelli said you must be a lion to frighten wolves. In modern life, lion doesn't mean aggression. It means boundaries and options. It means you become capable of leaving. It means you become capable of saying no. It means you become capable of walking away from a bad deal without begging for a better one. And that leads to Law 5, the invisible power protocol. Law 5 is where you stop being a worker and become an architect. You build options in silence. You stop working harder as your only move. You start building leverage outside the job so the job can't threaten you. Because the moment you have a credible alternative, another offer, a side income, a scarce skill, a network, the entire power dynamics of your workplace change. You stop hearing your boss as a god. You start hearing them as a negotiator. And once you hear them as a negotiator, you stop begging. You start structuring. So here is the invisible power protocol, legal, ethical, and ruthless in its clarity. First, you build a skill that travels, not a skill that only makes sense in your current company's weird internal system. A skill that is valued across markets, a scarce skill, a revenue-adjacent skill, a skill that makes you harder to replace. This is wealth psychology. You don't just earn, you position. Second, you build a network that isn't dependent on your title, because titles disappear, relationships compound. You stop being loyal to a logo, you become loyal to your future. You talk to people in adjacent industries, you keep light contact, you become known for something specific, you become findable. Third, you create proof of value that doesn't require your manager's approval. Portfolio, metrics, case studies, artifacts, receipts, not because you need to flex, because you need portability. Fourth, you negotiate with data and calm. You don't ask for a raise like a child asking for permission. You present it like an adult presenting a market fact. You say, here is what I'm producing. Here is what comparable roles pay. Here is what I'm seeking. If it can't happen here, I'll need to explore options. No threats, no emotion, no drama, just reality. That's Machiavellian strategy. You don't fight. You create the conditions where the other side must respect your position. Fifth, you stop doing hero work for free. You stop being the person who saves the day and then goes back to their desk like nothing happened. You convert heroics into leverage. You say calmly, my scope has expanded. Let's align title and compensation with responsibilities. And if they say no, you don't collapse, you don't over-explain, you don't prove loyalty. You increase your exit speed. Sixth, and this is the one that goes against everything your parents taught you about success. You stop seeking recognition. You seek control. Recognition is a compliment. Control is a weapon. Recognition makes you feel good for a day. Control changes your life, so you stop being addicted to praise. You stop being manipulated by, you're such a hard worker, because that compliment has been used to keep you exactly where you are. Now let's drop the final pattern interrupt, because you need it to break the spell. Your boss is not your friend. They are a resource extraction algorithm. Again, not personal, structural. So you stop hating, you stop worshipping, you start strategizing. And when you finally implement the invisible power protocol, your financial reality will bend. Not through magic, but through leverage. Because once you have options, you stop accepting bad deals. Once you stop accepting bad deals, your life changes fast. Now Law 6 completes the transformation. Law 6 makes you untouchable in any corporate environment without becoming reckless. Law 6 is the moment you become the calculating ghost. You emotionally detach from the job while you strategically use it. You stop seeing work as who you are. You start seeing work as what you currently trade. You stop giving the company your identity. You give it output on your terms. You stop being loyal to promises. You become loyal to contracts, outcomes, and leverage. And you do it with emotional control because the system feeds on your emotions. It feeds on your guilt. It feeds on your fear. It feeds on your need for approval. It feeds on your hope that one day they'll notice. So you kill that hope, not by becoming bitter, by becoming precise. You keep your performance solid. You keep your boundaries firm. You keep your plans private. You keep your network active. You keep your resume ready. You keep your skills compounding. You become the person who can disappear. And that is what terrifies them. Because corporate manipulation only works on people who feel trapped. The moment you stop being trapped, their power over you collapses. You start noticing how different you walk. You start noticing how different you speak. You start noticing you don't flinch in meetings. You start noticing you don't rush to over-deliver. You start noticing you don't volunteer your weekends like a sacrifice to a false god. You become harder to exploit because you stopped confusing suffering with virtue. You were taught that hard work is holy. But Machiavelli would call that naive. You were taught to be a lion, strong and obvious. But Machiavelli told you to become both, the fox who sees the trap and the lion who can leave. This is dark psychology turned into liberation. This is manipulation defense for your financial life. This is power dynamics applied to money. This is wealth psychology that replaces worker bee morality with architect strategy. And now you can answer the forbidden question without fear. What if the people telling you to put your head down and grind are the exact same people profiting off your exhaustion? Then your discipline has been monetized by someone else. Then your loyalty has been harvested. Then your hard work has been turned into their comfort. So you stop. Not working. Stop working without leverage. Stop working without visibility. Stop working without boundaries. Stop working without options. Stop working for applause. And start building quietly, strategically, in a way that makes you unbuyable. You started this video as the loyal, exhausted worker bee, waiting to be recognized and rewarded. Now you leave as the Machiavellian architect, calm, detached, and dangerous to any system that tries to keep you small. You see the trap, you see the narrative, you see the corporate manipulation, you see the power dynamics, you see the difference between labor and leverage. You see how Machiavelli fits perfectly into modern wealth psychology, and most importantly, you stop participating like a pawn. Stop building someone else's empire, build your own in the dark. If you're done being trapped, comment "No more traps" and subscribe, because this is an alliance for people who are finished being financially domesticated. If you want dark psychology that makes you harder to exploit, if you want Machiavellian strategy that keeps your hands clean and your leverage sharp, if you want manipulation defense for corporate manipulation, negotiation, and wealth psychology, you're in the right place. You don't need more motivation, you need a map, and you're getting it. To understand how to verbally outmaneuver anyone who tries to stop your rise, click the video on screen. See what others miss, know what others fear, become who others can't.